Your teenage child has been diagnosed with functional neurological disorder, short for FND, and as a caring parent, you desperately want to help. However, whatever you do, it does not help. In fact, the more you try to help your child, things get worse and you're suddenly spinning the wheel without going anywhere. Why and what can you do about it? Hi, Dr. Lee here. I'm a pediatric health psychologist and teen FND specialist. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 common mistakes that the caring parents unconsciously do and tips for what not to do to actually help reduce your teenage child's FND symptoms. So let's get started. First of all, let's talk about FND. FND is an umbrella term to describe this cross-wired communication problems between the brain and the body when physiologically and structurally your child's brain and body are quote-unquote okay. It is a real diagnosis and oddly, but not surprisingly, a very common diagnosis that you would get in neurology clinic even though virtually nobody knows about it. And no, it is not just one thing that is causing your child's FND. It is a biopsychosocial phenomenon, which I have tons of videos talking about what that is. And teen FND, broadly speaking, pediatric FND is different from adult FND. So if you're an adult who just happened to find my YouTube channel, welcome, but I'm specifically talking about teen FND. So some of the strategies may or may not be applicable to you, adult FND. And the biggest difference between teen FND and adult FND is most of the adult FND is actually related to some sort of childhood trauma or adverse event. Whereas teen FND, that's like less than half the case. So if you as a parent are wondering what you have missed because your teen has had this significant trauma based on what doctors are telling or insisting, that may not be the case. So let's get to today's videos about 3 common mistakes that the parents are doing unconsciously to actually not help the teen FND. Parenting mistake number 1, status check. When I say status check questions, this is what I mean. Bombarding with questions with FND, status, symptoms, or anything related to FND. So things like, how many times did you have an episode? How was your sleep? Are you okay? How is your pain? And yes, I saw that you had this functional seizure episode and it lasted for however many minutes. Because I was checking and I know exactly what happened because I was watching and oh yes, you had an episode and we should talk about this. How do you feel? What did you experience right before that? Do you know you had this episode and how are you feeling afterwards? All of that stuff. All of these things are part of that. It's called status check questions. Yes, it is a caring characteristics as a parent, but are you actually drawing more attention to the FND by asking these questions or reducing the attention away from you and the teen when it comes to FND? The more attention you're drawing to FND is one of the biggest perpetuating factors for FND to continue to exist. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, I see this a lot, unsolicited advice or unwanted advice. So looking at something like this. I am worried about you. You've got this. We need to come up with this plan. And why don't you do this ABC strategies? And we should go to school and then do this and do that. And I am your leader. Maybe you shouldn't do this today. Well, you don't feel good. Maybe we should skip this, activity plan for tomorrow. Well, you're not really 100% resolved from FND, so maybe you should just skip the prom or forget the graduation. Yes, it is sad, but there's no way you can walk, so maybe we shouldn't do that. Do you know what I'm doing right now? All of these things are, again, 100% coming from your care and concern as a parent, but really, who is holding the baton for your child? Is that you or the child? If you're the one who is coming up with all of these advices as if you should be the one to make a plan, decide, and execute, then your child is going to be a passenger and your child will never be the driver for their life. Parenting mistake number 3, kind of on the opposite side of it, But really coddling and giving in or cutting some slacks may be a little too much. So this might look something like this. So you as a parent are caressing and holding head and then hair during your child's FND episode, and holding your teen during episode, getting your teen off the hook from all kinds of responsibilities like schools, chores, work, extracurricular activities. Maybe you're tired, so maybe you can stay home today. Oh no, you're in pain. No, you shouldn't do this. Oh no, you don't have to do this chores. Well, I was going to ask you to do this house responsibility thing. Maybe it's the clean up the yard or clean your room or doing dishes, but yeah, no, you don't seem good and you look actually tired, so you don't really have to do that. It's okay, I'll do it, or I'm going to ask your sister to do it. That kind of thing. So all of these three things, again, asking these status check questions and unsolicited advice or unwanted advice, and this coddling and really getting off the hook from all responsibilities for your teen. What are the common themes here? Number one, you care as a parent, absolutely, for sure. And related to that, you do have an amazing intention to help your child. There's absolutely no doubt about it, because after all, you want to do something to help your child, because you as a parent are responsible for providing both physical and emotional safety for your child. Therefore, you are automatically jumping in and then trying to solve the problem for your child by rolling up the sleeve and then coming up with all kinds of plans that you can think of, right? So again, the intention is amazing, and then that is exactly what we need for your child. Here's a problem though. The problem is, in a short run, you might be helping your child because yes, you might be on top of things, and so your child is not slipping, or you might be on top of things, so then your child is actually preventing or reducing the symptoms in a short term. However, in a long run, you are not helping your child at all. Because in order for your teen to get better or resolve from FND, which again has a higher chance of resolving completely, depending on how long they have been having FND symptoms, but that is also something different from teen FND and adult FND. Teen FND, their resolution, the odds of resolving the FND is much, much higher compared to adults. However, if you continue to provide these three mistakes that are unconscious, coming from good intention, but not really helping, such as status check questions, unwanted advice, and coddling, and all of these things, then you are not helping your child. In fact, you are almost guaranteeing that you and your child are going to be this permanent disability. You're not going to get better band camp. I don't even need to have a crystal ball, and it sounds really harsh, but I have worked with so many teens who was at this tipping point of whether they're going to get better completely or they're going to stay in this band camp of forever and ever FND band camp. I've seen it one too many times, and then 100% of the time, when parents are doing all of these things continuously, then you are getting closer and closer and closer to that permanent disability band camp. Therefore, you have to continue to cater and accommodate your child for the rest of your life and likely your child's life. Now, the question is that what you really want? Is that what you really want for your child? So what's wrong with you parents being super active with your child's life and the FND management? What is wrong, right? So let me walk you through that. And then here is exactly why. Number one, the invisible script that you're actually giving to your child is, you're not going to be able to do this on your own. Therefore, I have to do it for you, which inevitably creates this really hard to trust your child dynamic. Even though you might be thinking, oh no, I trust my child. My child is great. Absolutely, I agree with you. However, the invisible script and the vibe that you're sending is, child, you can't do this on your own. Therefore, I need to do it for you. So the trust is not really given. It's actually taken away from your child. So that's number one. And number two, again, this might be a little bit hard for you to hear, but here is the truth. Are you actually doing this to make you as a parent feel better? So, in other words, are you actually helping your child now and ever versus you're actually wanting to help yourself to reduce the level of stress and anxiety in that moment for you? So, again, what are you really trying to cater to is really the question. And number three, related to that, this is again a lot of justification, and it might be very unpopular opinion, but I will say this. By doing something active as a parent to be involved with the child's FND care in that way, right? By asking a lot of questions and then giving advice and then really taking charge and coddling and then really, doing all of that. Are you actually using those activities and behaviors as a justification to make you feel a good parent? Once again, it's really hard to hear for some parents, but this is what is going on with many, many cases that I have worked with. Now, it may not be for you, however, this is pretty common thing. So again, just to recap, number one, are you really trusting your child? Can you really ask yourself, are you 100% trusting your child no matter what when it comes to FND management? If the answer is right away 100%, great. If you're like, I want to trust my child, then you know the answer already. And number two, are you actually catering and accommodating to your own anxiety or difficulty tolerating witnessing your child struggling? Are you actually focusing more on that and then making that a priority by you inserting yourself actively so you are actually reducing your own anxiety and stress level? And related to that, number three, are you actually using these activities and behaviors as a justification for you to feel like that you are a good parent? And I'm going to continue because there are consequences for these three things that you are potentially doing. That, status check question, advice, and then coddling, all of that. The more you take in charge of managing your child's FND, what happens inevitably 100% of the time is it becomes your problem to solve, not your child's problem. Even though this is happening in your child's body, it becomes your problem to solve. And with that, what happens is, again, it becomes your problem. Therefore, it is your responsibility. That means it is never going to be your child's responsibility. Now, do you want your child to become a successful, responsible adult down the road? If the answer is yes, then you have an opportunity to make that happen right now. So why would you take that responsibility out of your child and then making your child irresponsible for as long as you want? So again, that's the question. I am asking you because this is something I have seen time and time again. Your problem, not their problem. And of course, related to that, is your child likely to solve FND on their own? Absolutely not. Why? So think about it. Let's just say you have I don't know if this happens to you, but let's just say that your house has a butler, like a living au pair or living butler, who is going to do everything for you every single minute of the day. If you want anything to happen, then the butler is there to do it for you, like right away. So things like cooking, laundry, cleaning the toilet, making bed and, folding the clothes and, shopping and all of that stuff. If there is somebody who is doing for you all of the time, would you ever want to do it on your own? So think about that, right? Like if there's help all the way and all the time, why would you do that? Chances are you might be thinking, well, maybe I should do that, but you know what? Somebody's going to take care of it for me. So why would I? I would rather do something else, So that is exactly what's happening. The more you insert yourself, the less your child is going to be in charge and responsible. Therefore, the FND situation will continue to exist in your child's body. That's why you are likely to take and lead your child and yourself to this permanent disability band camp for FND. And I don't know about you. Are you feeling super empowered and a lot of energy? Or are you feeling, oh my gosh, this is so exhausting. I am changing my life 100% and 180 for this FND, and I cannot do this anymore. If you're thinking latter, then really think for yourself, are you taking charge too much instead of punting the responsibility to your child? Now, if your child doesn't have skills and strategies, of course you would feel very anxious and stressful about giving that responsibility, because you would be, once again, not being able to trust, well, my child can't do that. So this is going to get worse, right? Then that's why you feel like, oh my gosh, I am juggling these 20 dishes right at the same time, but I don't really know how to stop. Of course, you would likely to feel super tired and exhausted. But those are the natural, inevitable consequences of you continue to be doing this job for your child. So I have a solution for you. That's a good news, right? What can you do? So instead of asking these status check questions, starting today, if not right now, stop asking anything related to FND at all. If you're having really hard time, then that is probably a good sign that, again, your own anxiety and stress is so much higher than your desire to suck it up and then help your child get better. So again, really think about that. You can start with baby steps, but stop asking these FND related questions at all. If your child's come to see you and then talk about, how FND is really impacting, I had seizures and I had this episode and things like that, you don't really need to tell your child, oh, don't talk to me about that, but you can validate and you can listen and, gosh, I'm so sorry you're having this problems, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. It really stinks. Then you can punt it back. What are you doing to help yourself? If the child says, I don't know, well, that is a great time for your child to check out my YouTube channel, because there are so many resources and tips and tools that your child can use along with yourself. All right. So again, stop asking these FND related questions. No more status check questions. Number one. Number two, instead of giving this unsolicited or unwanted advice, wait until your child is asking for advice, so it becomes solicited advice. So really, this requires you as a parent to be patient. Once again, is your own anxiety and then stress level of needing to do something to help your child higher or lower than your desire to suck it up and let your child handle it on their own? Which one is higher? You have to make a commitment and decision about this. Yes, your fear and then anxiety and stress is not going to get better. All right. It will be there. But if your desire, to help your child in a right way is stronger, then you can do this. So wait until you are asked for specific advice. So your unsolicited advice becomes solicited advice. Number three, instead of coddling and not having any responsibility for your child, number one, create a healthy boundary. Stick to your gut. If you decided to do certain things, no matter what, stick to your gut, stick to your rule. And so it's really important for you to have the healthy boundary. All right, we decided to have you go to school every day, or participate in the family time, or start resuming the house chore in case you don't have a butler living with you, right? Then you can have a conversation with your teen. And once that agreement is completed, meaning that your teen says, okay, I'll try, then you cannot back out or change the plan without talking to your teen about it, right? So you have to have the healthy boundary. Well, this is what we discussed, and then here's the consequence of not being able to do whatever the expectations, all right? So again, is your own anxiety and stress level higher or lower compared to your desire to suck it up and then really focus on what helps your child, both short term and the long run. And I have tons of free resources for you. Check out the description box below and click the link for all of the resources you need as a parent and also teens. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.